Hi traders, it's Roberto. In this tutorial we are going to go over the divergence setups. In this particular example, we're going to be using the 1 and 4 hour charts. Usually when we see divergence on any particular time frame, and in this case a 1 hour chart, we always need to go to the next highest time frame, which is in this case, again, it's 4 hour chart for confirmation. We'll also be using price action, which are candlestick patterns and trend line breaks. So let's get started. Today is March the 26th, and this is the Monday retracement setup. When you see divergence setups on a Monday, those are very high probability trade setups. So again, if you're not familiar with divergence, let me just simple explanation on how to recognize when markets are changing direction, changing sentiment, and it's all in divergence setup. So the first thing I look for is, well, let me first explain. MACD indicator down here is a copycat of price. So if price goes down, MACD goes down. If price goes up, MACD goes up. But what happens occasionally is when price goes in the opposite direction of MACD. And here we have this wave pattern. And then I look at the next wave pattern and notice that the wave patterns are going higher. But the wave patterns that are lined up with price action and are going in the opposite direction. Notice this is a swing point, and a swing point is when you have two or more candles to the right that are higher, two or more candles to the left that are higher, and that's a swing point. And then you look for another swing point, which is here, which is lower, and notice that this swing point and that swing point, price is going lower, but the wave pattern is going higher. So the wave patterns are going in the opposite direction of price, hence we have divergence, which means this sell-off that started all the way up here is essentially over, and the market is, and it tells you ahead of time. Notice that this divergence setup occurred at least 10 hours before the market decided to change direction. So it gives you a heads up as to what's going to happen in the future. The next thing I do is I connect the swing points on top, and because I need and this is a trend line, I need a trend line break. I need price to break above the trend line to confirm this divergence, and it did happen. And then I'm not finished yet. I need to qualify this trade on the next highest time frame. So, and I'll use the MACD indicator for that. So on the 1 hour chart, I have divergence, clear divergence, which basically is telling me that this run is pretty much over and it's most likely going to give everything back. Okay, and this is the swing high. This is where the market started to sell off, and this technically price, let me push this back further, should give everything back. This whole sell-off in the past week should turn around and go all the way up to 161.50. That's what divergence does. It completely tells us that the market has finished selling off and it's going to turn around and go back and basically recover all the losses. So I mentioned that I was looking for one more thing, and that is the 4 hour confirmation. So I switch over to a 4 hour chart, and I see on the bottom here, notice that the two lines on MACD have crossed to the upside. That's my confirmation. So again, divergence setup, we use the 1 hour chart, 4 hour chart for confirmation, price action, candlestick patterns, which we really didn't need in this case because everything else lined up, and we have a trend line break. So the trend line break on the 1 hour chart was my buy trigger. And that's it for this tutorial, and we'll go over some more trade setups in the next coming videos.